Welcome to this video tutorial. This is the third video in a series of 3 which is designed to help you create a little game in Blender so that you can drive a little character around a 3D terrain. So in the first 2 videos, the first one we created the ground plane, so the grassy thing with mountains and hills and stuff. Second video we just made it so that a little box would move around, so we've just got up to this point here where we've got a little sort of pizza box that will drive around. So in this final video we're going to change it so that instead of a box, or as well as a box really, we're going to have whatever character you like. So for this video we're going to create a little cartoony car. Let's create the car. I'm going to click away, left click away, so that the 3D cursor goes away from the box, and then Shift and A, let's add a cube. So we're going to make this cube into our car. So I'm going to shrink it down in the Z axis, so S and Z, and S and Y, same to shrink it down in the Y coordinate until you've got something that's kind of a loaf of bread shape. Then go into edit mode with Tab and Control and R and put your mouse over this face just here, so this edge just here, and click, and then click again with the line roughly in the middle. What we're going to do is pull out the bonnet of the car and pull out the boot of the car so that it looks a bit more realistic. So Control and Tab to change into face select mode, and then right click and E to drag it out. We'll make the bonnet stick out that sort of much, but the boot is going to stick out a little bit less. So right click and E, but the boot's not going to stick out as much as the bonnet. So the display mode at the moment is quite hard to see. I'm going to change it back to solid. Graphics don't look as pretty, but it's much easier to do your modelling in solid mode. Okay, so it kind of looks like a really boxy Land Rover style thing at the moment. If we go out of edit mode into object mode by pressing Tab, add a modifier, and we want a subdivision surface modifier with 2 subdivisions and make it smooth. That's going to be the rough sort of car shape, that'll do. So I'm going to apply that modifier and go back into edit mode. We've now got all of the different faces now because we've subdivided our model. So next we'll add some colours onto it, so we'll make a new material. I'm going to call this blue because my car's going to be blue. Yours can be whatever colour you like, and we'll change the diffuse colour, so this is going to be blue just here. Okay, so I want to change the windscreen and some windows. To do this I'm going to use the circle select tool, so that's C, and then you can click and drag with the left mouse button to select, or push in the middle mouse button on the mouse wheel to unselect, and you can change the size of the sort of area of selection by scrolling. So press escape to stop circle select before you try and pan around, and then C, I want all of these bits selected for the rear windscreen. Oh, I've got these bits selected as well. Let's unselect those. Don't know how that's happened. So push in your middle mouse wheel. There we go. I've got the forward and the back windscreens. I'd like some windows. So let's get these bits selected. Press escape. C. There we go. So I've got the bits that I want to change to black selected. So I'm going to make a new material, and I'm going to call it black and change the diffuse colour so that that's black. So this hasn't changed yet, and it won't do until we assign the material to the selected faces. Okay, so we've got a car. Now I want some wheels. So I'm going to left click roughly where I want a wheel to be, Shift and A, and I'll add a cylinder. Now I want the cylinder to be black, so I'll assign it as black, and I want it to be rotated around the red line, which is the x-axis. So R and X 90, enter, we'll rotate it by 90 degrees. Then I'm going to go into quad view, so that's Control Alt and Q, so that you can see your model from 4 different views. It's really handy for positioning stuff exactly where you want it to go. So I'm going to press G to move it, I'm going to press S to scale it, and then G again to move it, and keep on grabbing it, is what G stands for, until it's roughly in the right sort of place. Notice that the wheel is far too fat, so I'm going to scale it in the green direction, that's Y, so S and then Y, and then I want to move it out a little bit so it kind of sticks out. Okay, so we've got a wheel where we want it. I want a copy of it for the back wheel. So let's Shift and D for duplicate, and I want it to be lined up with the other one in the X direction. So I'm going to press X, and then I want a copy of both of these. So Shift and right click will get part of this selected. Control and L will select everything that's linked to that face, and then we can duplicate that with Shift and D. This time we want to lock it in the Y direction. And click, there we go. Okay, Control Alt Q to get out of quad view. We've got ourselves a little car. It's not particularly amazing, but it will do the job for this tutorial. Last thing I'm going to do is just put on some headlights. So right click, Shift right click, make a new material. It's going to be yellow, and I'll call it headlights, and I'll assign it. There we go. So I'll go out of edit mode, and that's the car pretty much done. Back into material mode, and when we press P now, you'll notice that from the previous video the pizza box will move around, but the car just floats and doesn't do anything. So we want the car to belong to this pizza box. So for that to happen, select the car, hold down Shift, right click on the pizza box, and Control and P to set the parent. So now if we press P, you'll see that the car moves around with the box. So what we want to do now is make sure that the car is in the right place, facing the right direction. So right click, so we've only got the car selected. I find this easier to do again in quad view, so Control Alt and Q. I'm going to grab it, and you want the bottom of the wheels to line up with the bottom of the box. If necessary, you might have to scale it a little bit. So S to scale. And my car, the front of it is facing the wrong way. I made it so that the pizza box moves forwards in the same direction as the red axis. So I'm going to press R to rotate, Z to rotate around the blue line, which is the Z axis, and then 180 for 180 degrees. Just move it back with G. There we go, Control Alt Q. So that should be a bit better. If I press P, it's not bad, but it goes a little bit crazy. Notice especially when I rotate, it kind of bounces all over the place. That's because the box and the car are colliding with each other. So I want to have the car selected and turn off any collision detection. So I'm just going to go no collision on the physics tab up here. That'll make it a little bit better, but sometimes when you're steering, your car will still go a little bit weird. Kind of it will move away from your pizza box. To fix that, right click on your pizza box and go Control and A to apply, and you want to apply the rotation and scale so that now when you drive around your car is fixed to that pizza box. Okay, we're almost there, but you don't want to see that box when you move. For some reason it just seems to work much better if you put the game logic on a simple object like this pizza box rather than putting scripts directly onto your model. It's just much easier in Blender, and especially if you end up exporting into a different game engine. We could have just put the game logic on here, but the beauty of doing it this way is you can have someone putting the scripting on for your simple object, and then somebody else can design any character, like a tank, car, a helicopter, whatever, and then you import it and make it belong to the object that moves. Okay, so yeah, we wanted to make the pizza box invisible. That's on the physics tab, and there's this invisible button. Click that, and now we should be able to drive around the car. So little finishing touches. All I'm going to do is add some headlights. So I'll left click on one of the headlights, Shift and A, I'll add a lamp, and I want a spotlight. So the spotlight points in the wrong direction. I'm going to rotate it around this green line, the Y-axis, so RY, and I want it not quite pointing forwards. It's going to go a little bit down. And I want to duplicate that, so we've got another one. So Shift D, and I'm going to move it along the Y-axis until it's in the right place. There we go. So if we play the game now, those headlights just stay floating in space. So we want to make them belong to the car in the same way that we made the car belong to the pizza box. So right click on a light, Shift right click on the car, Control P, and set object to parent, and do the same thing again. Select the light, select the car, Control P, and hopefully now when you drive your car around you should have something that will work as a starting point for a game that you can adapt. So it looks to me like my car floats a little bit above the ground. So I'm going to make sure that the car moves down a little bit. You want the bottom of the wheels, the bottom of the pizza box. There we go. So you can have all sorts of things happening from here. You can expand your terrain, you can put more obstacles in, you can have other stuff that's animated and happening. You can make it so that the camera, so if we go into the camera mode, you can make the camera follow the car. So to do that, you probably put where you want the camera to be, space, and then search for align camera to view. Right click on the camera, and Shift and F is a useful shortcut. That puts you in fly mode, so you can kind of move the camera wherever you want it to be with WAS and D and the mouse. And when you're happy, click. And then with the camera selected and the car selected, just press Control P again. And now when you press P, your camera should follow your little car as you drive around. So I hope this is useful. If you use this to create a little game, then I'd love to see a video or a link to it. If you think of a better way to do it, then please do leave a comment so I can learn and improve. And I hope it's been useful. Thanks very much for watching.